So this started out as a feature for Nomad. We wanted to be able to debug JavaScript running on a mobile device, which you can't currently do, at least not without faffing about with cables and buying Macs and doing things like that. So I found an open source project called Aardwolf, which used the fact that AJAX calls aren't always asynchronous in order to implement breakpoints. It wasn't very well written, so I just stole their idea and re-implemented it and added a Visual Studio front end to it. The idea is that you can just debug stuff on your mobile device as if you were debugging it in Internet Explorer running on your local machine. So this is an implementation of Pong, which I downloaded this morning, which uses, this is actually an ASP.NET project, although it's just static HTML at the moment. Because this was implemented for Nomad, everything says Nomad at the moment. So I just say, first I stop the thing I tried earlier, and then I just say remote debugger, and this has failed once and worked once. So so this thinks it's found a device. This hasn't found anything. Oh, there we go. So this identifies how it finds your device. The problem we run into is the lawyers next door have a jamming device instead of a Wi-Fi network. Let's hit a breakpoint. So yes, the first thing it does is hit a breakpoint at the very first line of JavaScript. The website executes. So I will hold this up and I will press F5, and you'll see we have Pong. And I'll scroll down here to where something I found earlier, which is where it draws the screen, which is very difficult to see. Let's try here where it draws the statistics. I'll set a breakpoint, and because it's updating at 60 frames a second, it immediately hits that breakpoint. I was hoping this would be visible, but it's not really. You can actually see that the device is now paused and is not updating anymore. Pretty much everything works because Visual Studio already supports JavaScript, so like we can have a look at the contents of this object. We can use the immediate window to execute things, like we can look at CTX, which is very boring because it's an object. We get the console gets redirected. This program doesn't print to the console. Yeah, that's pretty much it. In a way, it's almost boring in that it's just Visual Studio, but this is something that if you've ever tried to actually debug JavaScript running on an iPhone, you know that step one is buy a Mac, whereas this will work on anything with no extra configuration. It works the same way on every device you try it on. Yeah, that's it.
So any questions here?
Yes, Graham there.
Did I miss the technical details of this? What is actually on the tablet? Are you on the website on the tablet?
Yeah, it's literally just a web browser. The thing we're working on at the moment is a filter for ASP.NET, so that you'd be able to, it actually works the same way Glimpse works, so it rewrites the page before it goes out from IIS. That works with dynamic HTML, which this doesn't at the moment.
So when you click something there, it's something on the screen, what would it?
So for Nomad, I'm not sure if this would make it into a final product or not, but for Nomad we have a thing that will pair it with Visual Studio, so you can hit F5 in Visual Studio and have it come up on the device. That's probably something that we might think about in putting in the final product, because it's quite a nice thing to be able to do.
questions? Thanks very much, Andrew.